All right, guys, I am in beautiful Big Bend National Park in the southwest part of Texas. And we came here on a sunrise hike. So we got up early before dawn, did our hike, came up 1,100 feet, and here we are. It's just gorgeous. Now, who's we? Well, I'm here with my amazing wife, Brie. Brie is a landscape photographer, and she's actually really quite good. I say that so surprised, but I shouldn't be. She's amazing.
Yeah, I am.
I know you are. So Bree is a landscape photographer. And so we do these crazy hikes and campouts and go to places far and wide to find spectacular, amazing places for her to visit and take her shots. And she hasn't always been a landscape photographer. In fact, we raised 4 kids together, and for many, many years, she wanted to get into photography and wasn't able to. Our busy lives just kept us from me being able to do things, both of us, things that we wanted to do. And a few years ago, she decided she wanted to change that this lifelong thing that she's wanted to do. She decided to just go all in on it. And it wasn't long. I think within 2 years, she won a prestigious landscape photography award. So how did she get so good so fast? Well, Bree followed the principles of action. And there are 2 principles. And the first principle is something called passive action. It's what you're doing right now, watching a video. When she first started learning about landscape photography, she had to dive into all kinds of stuff to just learn the basics. She had to learn how her camera works. She had to learn about composition and lighting and places to go, what kind of gear to get. So she had to learn all of these basics. And she did. And she dove into it. She watched hundreds of hours of YouTube videos and listened to podcasts and connected with other photographers. The things that you're probably doing right now as a trader are all the things that she's done as well to become a master landscape photographer. And so passive action is what we do when we consume. We're consuming content, we're learning, we're sitting down, we're watching YouTube videos, or we're reading books. Passive action is a foundational component to our progression in anything that we do. But it's not what creates mastery. What creates mastery is called massive action. Massive action is the art of creating. It's when we take all of this knowledge and information we've learned and gained from passive action and we apply it, we use it, we put it into action until we accomplish our goals. So when you're working on an edge, you might watch a video. You might have gone through Patrick's course and learned about how Patrick trades, and maybe you watch him on his live stream. That's passive action. But when you sit down and you write out a trade plan based on that, and you do back testing, and maybe you do chart reconstruction, you do all these things that we talk about in the Consistency Accelerator program on a regular basis, you're taking massive action. You're creating. And through that experience, you are gaining so much more in value and progression and deepening your understanding and your ability to execute in ways that you can never do by simply watching a video or listening to a podcast or reading a book. Massive action is where mastery happens. And you have to create this type of action or do this kind of action in all 3 areas of the trader's triangle. You have to do it for edge, you have to do it for process, and you have to do it for mindset. All of it matters for each one of those things because you're building skills that are creating mastery for yourself. If you want to be a consistently profitable trader, you have to do more than simply learn through watching. You have to learn through experience, not just trading experience, but the experience that you do outside of trading, sitting down and doing backtesting work, working through your processes, tracking your processes, creating process goals. There's a whole bunch of things that you could be doing to take massive action in your trading today. So what kind of action should you be taking right now in your trading? Well, a lot of it depends on where you're at. If you're struggling with edge, maybe you need to take more massive action around edge and edge development, edge optimization, those kinds of things. If you're struggling with executing your edge, then maybe there's a process thing and some process actions that you should be taking. Or maybe you have a mindset challenge that needs to get worked on, right? All of these things we can do. We can take passive action around and learn, but if we really want to improve and progress, we've got to take the massive action in those areas. And you know what I'm going to say, if you want to speed up the process, the Consistency Accelerator program is designed to do that. So what can you do this week, this month, today to take massive action in your trading? Where do you need the most help? Where can you start? Because it's a never-ending process. You're going to be looking for ways to take massive action each and every day. So it's fine to go out, consume content, learn, watch videos. That's great. But then always figure out how you're going to apply it, how you're going to use it, how you're going to leverage it. How are you going to take massive action? And if you do that day in, day out, you will become a consistently profitable trader. That's how you get there. All right, guys. Happy trading this week. You got your shot?
No, I'm setting it up.
You taking a picture of a tree?
Stop it, yes. Well, no, I'm taking an infrared image of this whole landscape.
Fun.
Taller.
Okay, what were some of the massive actions that you took when you were really kind of developing?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't really know what I was doing, so I knew I needed to practice. Yeah, that looks good. So I just made plans to get out, like to go practice.
Yeah.
All the time. And it didn't matter. Sorry, you're interrupting my art. It didn't matter if I was making a quote good photo or not.
Yeah.
I just knew I needed to just go learn.
Yeah.
So what would I do? Oh, I would just go walk trails and practice, and I would just go places and try stuff out.
Yeah.
And for a while, I remember, do I have stuff on my face? Because it happens in my tripod. For a while, I remember going, oh, I'm not improving. Or I remember being so disappointed because I was like setting myself up. I thought I was going out to make amazing photos, and that really wasn't true. So once I gave that up, it was easier because all of a sudden I wasn't trying to make photos like stuff that was going to hang on my wall or somebody else's wall or whatever. All of a sudden I was just out practicing and trying things. And when I started just kind of releasing some of those expectations, it just got better.
We call that resulting, right?
You do?
Yeah. And so I talk to traders a lot about profit goals versus process goals. When we're always thinking about the end result, the profit, then it actually doesn't necessarily help us develop, right? So if you're always thinking about the final shot and it's got to be a perfect picture and all of that, it can hinder. So how many hours of YouTube videos do you think you watched?
Not enough. No, just kidding.
I'm just kidding. Let me ask you this.
Like
So
way too many.
I know. I just remember like you were just always on YouTube.
Well, that was my passive action, you
Yeah.
know, like, and that's okay because I needed to do that. I needed to have like a body of knowledge to go out and like do stuff with. Otherwise, it's just frustrating when you're out practicing, you know. Here's the thing. Either way, you're experimenting, you're using the knowledge that you already have, and you're experimenting and you're trying things, and then you're evaluating.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're in passive action, you're not really doing that. And so being able to, once you gather the information, then you want to go out and practice, gather more information. Maybe I came back and I was like, oh, this is a problem. And so then I would go watch a video, or I would ask a question or whatever. It's just always a process, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it is. I think I need to switch to my color camera. I could probably.
So, would you place more importance over, one type of action versus another?
No. What do you mean? Passive versus massive, or types?
Yeah.
No. Yes.
It's a tough question, isn't it? Because it's like you kind of need the passive action.
Is better because you can wear your pajamas.
Passive is easier.
You know
all I
what?
can do is watch a video and I'm a master.
No, here's the thing. You have to do both, because if you just went out, if I just had a camera and I went out, it would take me longer to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I feel like I would be wasting my time.
Yeah.
So it's a problem too if you
just watch
if you're just
other people, if you're a bystander.
Yeah, if you're just the bystander.
And then you don't get out.
Yeah.
You need both. Yeah.
Even now, I'm just experimenting. All of this is a total experiment based on the knowledge that I already have. But isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm. How do you find out, kind of, one of the things that I thought was really interesting in your progress was, I don't know much about photography, and you started diving into stuff that I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that was important. So like, of course you learned how to use your camera, you learned about composition, you learned about lighting, but then you started diving into stuff like Photoshop and how to work in Photoshop and Lightroom and printing and all this other stuff. And, I thought, oh my gosh, there's so much more to this than just, this kind of basic stuff that we, sometimes talk about, right?
Well, composition is a lifelong adventure. So that's the thing about composition. Even now, that's actually what I'm figuring out. Like, what's this composition going to look like? Don't even know how much I like it. So
I think for traders, it's kind of an interesting parallel because we think, okay, edge. I just need edge. I just need to have a good edge. I need a good system. I need good rules.
If you can't execute, if you have a good edge and you can't execute it.
Right. Yeah.
Like if I have a good camera, but I don't.
Or you're really good at composition, but you're terrible at like processing and Photoshop and printing and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, composition is such a great, composition. I don't know. Composition is a lifelong. That's just an art thing.
Yeah.
If anybody there is an artist or knows someone that's an artist, that is what makes a great photo.
Yeah.
Or great piece of art is the composition, and you don't know it until you're, look at the light on this place. It's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Cool. I love it.
So
think there's a lot of
it is like a trifecta, and you're always honing in on what you're always honing in on what's important. You know, I kind of feel like in some ways when you have, you know, you see a hole and you dive in and you learn that. And once you learn that, you can kind of back off the deep dive and practice with it, and then you'll see. And as you the thing is, you have to go out and do more practice, because that's how you see the holes. You don't see the holes until you're actually doing more of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's perfect. I
right?
like it. Yeah, it's totally true. It's totally true. I think like I was mentioning about in the program, we just went through this whole exercise around building trade plans, and I think there were some people that were like, you know, put their trade plan together and then realize, wait, I don't have an edge, or my edge has holes in it, and I have to fill these holes because I see the problems with my edge now, you know, and so going through that process is actually what allowed them to see the holes. You know, that massive action process allowed them to see the holes that they were
also
having.
Here's the thing, I know photographers that just kind of stay stagnant, and you can tell they're not improving. And the thing is like, if you don't have a way to evaluate without beating yourself up to death,
Yeah,
then you're gonna stay stuck.
Yeah.
And so if you can have a process where you evaluate and you keep going, that is really where you see the most improvement.
Yeah.
So
I just love that there are so many parallels with what we're doing with trading and in these other fields, because it's all about mastery. It's all about how do we become exceptional at what we do.
yeah.
And the process is similar. It requires a foundation of learning. It requires then a foundation of action and moving in a particular direction, and then improving and optimizing as you go.
I love that you said optimizing. You never use that in art, but peace out, everyone.
Optimize your art, baby.